I am Dr. Eli Camp. Welcome. This is my podcast, Vital Wisdom. And this is where I talk about health, wellness, homesteading, raising children, and lots of other topics, all from the perspective of vitalism. I believe I've seen and taught others how the body can heal itself if it's given what it needs, it's not poisoned, and the innate healing ability of the body has been supported, not suppressed. It is my intention to bring what I have learned in my life, especially the last 24 years of being a physician, to help you be your own best doctor. Hope you enjoy the episodes, and thanks for being here. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me on Vital Wisdom. I'm Dr. Eli Camp, and I have just the most amazing special guest today, Dr. Samm Pryce. And we're going to talk about this awesome topic of eating right for your blood type. But before we jump right into that, I want to remind everybody that on Vital Wisdom, I'm talking about the body being able to heal itself when it has what it needs, when we're not poisoning it, and when we've stimulated that built-in, we call it the innate healing intelligence of the body. And this can be true for a simple cut. It can be true for something as serious as cancer. The body heals itself. And so without saying too much more, Dr. Samm Pryce, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump right into the Eat Right.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My friend for over 20 years.
Yes.
Dr. Eli and I went to medical school together. So sweet to be here with you, and I'm so excited. So I'm Dr. Samm Pryce. I am a naturopathic physician. I specialize in oncology. I am a wife, a mom. I do a lot of stuff. I'm very proud to be a Rotarian at this point in my life and doing all the philanthropic stuff that I love to do. So that's me.
That's so cool. And you're in Michigan.
I am in Michigan,
But
cold
you can
Michigan.
see people anywhere, right? You can
Yes.
do virtual health. Yes.
I only do telemedicine now.
Okay. A lot like me.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. And so I have to tell you, before I ever started medical school, I had graduated from the University of Oklahoma. I had put in an application to go to Southwest College. I had moved to Arizona, to Phoenix. And in the interim of where I was going when, I took a part-time job at a health food store. And in that health food store, they had a phenomenal book section. And on the shelf, and I don't know why I didn't find it sooner, was this book called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And in my breaks in between customers and all the different stuff they had me doing, I kept a copy up at the register and I started reading it. And I was like, holy moly, how come I've never heard about this idea that your blood type could make a difference in guiding the food choices, right?
Yes.
By Dr. Peter Diadamo. That's how I'm going to open the conversation. I found this book and I started using it. And it started to make an immediate difference in my expression of health and a variety of symptoms I was having at the time. So talk to us a little bit about this. What is this?
So I did my residency with Peter, who's the author of the book. So very enlightening. So my residency wasn't on the blood type diet, right? Everybody thinks that like, okay, the whole residency was on just that. No, it was not. It was actually on nutrigenomics and epigenetics. So how do we use food as medicine to change the expression of our genes? So funny story, coming into medical school, I was what I call a poultry vegetarian. Made up term. I was allergic to seafood and I wasn't going to eat red meat. So basically, I had chicken and turkey as my protein sources with beans and legumes and things like that. So my family was very concerned that I was going to naturopathic medical school and I was going to become an aeritarian and not eat anything. Nothing. Okay. So Peter comes to school one day and he's telling us about the blood type diet. And of course, I raise my hand to poke my finger to find out my blood type. Go figure, I'm a blood type O. So we'll get into this,
Yeah.
but a blood type O is a meat eater. Go figure, right? So I'm glad that he gave us the whole lecture before I found out I was a blood type O, because I was really digging this. I was like, this makes so much sense. I'm totally going to do this with my patients. The science makes sense to me. So I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that with my patients? And I don't eat red meat. That's just not right, right? So I go back. I'm like, I can't cook it. I just can't do it. There was a Mediterranean restaurant, probably like Pita Jungle or something like that, around the corner. And they have like the lamb beef mixture with, so like I had a gyro. This was during like test week. And normally, like Aaron Zimmerman and Joe would come over and they would make a pot of coffee and they would each drink a pot of coffee and we'd stay up and we'd study. And I would have a half of a Coca-Cola and I'd be done. I was up, right? I had a gyro and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? I was like, I feel amazing. I feel like I stuck my finger in a socket. I was like, something's right. I had a gyro every single day, that whole entire week. Like I felt the effects absolutely immediately. So that was my introduction personally to the blood type diet. So I think that over the years in practicing the blood type diet, what I have seen is chronic issues that most people are on medication for, or they're like, I just have it. I don't know if you've heard, I just have it,
Just
right?
have it.
I just have it. It just is what it is. My whole family has it or whatever.
Yes.
Like immediately, like in 2 weeks, it's just gone. Where they've tried all kinds of medications, therapies, X, Y, and Z. So the premise behind it, if you don't mind, I'll just go back and give you a little history of the blood type diet. So James Diadamo is Peter's father. He was also a naturopathic physician. So when he finished medical school, he went over to Europe to practice for a little while. He came back, and I don't know what happened over in Europe, but he came back and he decided he was just going to blood type all his patients. Why? I don't know that part of the story, but I'm like, wow, that's interesting, right? So he starts blood typing everybody and he notices these correlations. And back then you would handwrite stuff in journals and just have massive notebooks of your theories of things like that. So I want to like go into the debunking of the blood type diet, because there's all kinds of things that, oh, it's been debunked. That makes no sense. Well, in medicine in general, we have to have empirical data where we actually see it over and over again before we actually do the double-blind placebo-controlled trials, right? No, the blood type diet has not had those. Why? I'm not really sure. I think it would totally make sense to do it. But empirical data is there from thousands, if not millions of people around the globe. So this is not just in the United States. It's very much so across the globe. It's in multiple languages at this point, and many practitioners use it. For me, I think that I love the fact that it's baseline. So you want to be a vegan, a vegetarian, a pescatarian, keto, whatever, fine. But blood type diet to me is baseline. The theory behind it is it's lectin science. So there are proteins that are on your food, and we have receptors on our red cells. So let's say it looks like this and it's a circle and something fits nicely inside, like a lock and a key. Like you can actually use this key to open the door. It's the same science behind that. So certain foods don't work with certain receptors that are on certain blood types. If you understand the concept of transfusions and that certain blood can't be transfused, it's the same thing. It's the same premise behind that. And that is science backed, right? So, So then Peter, when he was studying naturopathic medicine, he actually had to do, back then, even in ours, I had to do a research project. I don't think they do that anymore, but so he had to do his science project to graduate. His science project was actually looking at his father's study to debunk it, actually.
Mm.
And what he found was no, his father was correct. And what he did was he put his father's calculations and all of that into practice in a scientific model in which he published the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Since then, he's published Eat Right for cancer, Eat Right for allergies, Eat Right for fatigue, Eat Right for arthritis, Eat Right for anti-aging, Eat Right for menopause, the encyclopedia book, there's a cookbook, there's all kinds of stuff. But once you understand the premise, if you're eating right for your blood type, you're automatically eating right for fatigue.
Right.
But people like that, oh, that's me.
They do. Well, because people identify with their diagnoses.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The interesting thing about blood types is, and we'll get into it, there are different exercises for different blood types. There are different characteristics for different blood types. And in the Asian societies, they hire according to blood type.
Oh, wow.
They hire because they have personality traits according to blood type.
Now that's really cool.
Yeah. So, blood type O.
Blood type O.
So
well,
blood
before you launch into different blood types, let me clarify a couple of things for people who are completely unfamiliar with the book or the idea. So, and I'm just tagging this on to what Dr. Pryce said. So the idea is that if you have a certain blood type, there are certain foods you should eat because they act as medicine. There's some foods you can eat because they don't really have a negative effect, but they don't necessarily act like medicine. And then there's foods you should not eat because they act, I don't want to use the very hard term poison, but
I do.
they act like not medicine and not neutral. They cause damage.
Correct.
And the damage like will trigger symptoms in your body, especially if you do it long term. So this is the idea. Now, okay, I'll let you pick up.
Yes. Yeah, so if you're opening the book, just like what Dr. Eli said, it's beneficials, neutrals, avoids. And I do use the term poisonous.
Right. Well,
I use poisonous.
It damages your body, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not in the sense of what we think of an IgE reaction, which is an allergic reaction. Oh my God, I'm vomiting. I got hives. I'm like, it's a sensitivity to it, like an IgG reaction to it. Like over time, you're going to feel the effects if you continuously compounding, constantly having those avoid foods. And then the neutrals are what they are. They're neither good nor bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat them, but if you're really trying to do something specific for your health, then I say stay on the beneficial side, right?
Right.
So blood type O, if we think about evolution, I like to explain it this way. Think of your ice ages and the cavemen, and like they had to go hunt for their food, right? So these are the people who need to have red meat. This is contrary to everything that you're hearing out there. But blood type O's have a high amount of hydrochloric acid in our stomach. This allows us ancestrally, right, to be able to break down the meat into then amino acids that then go into our cells and fuel us and give us energy, just like the euro gave me energy, right? Blood type O's we need like cardiovascular exercise, like really adrenaline pumping exercises, that kind of stuff. So for blood type A, I like to explain it as, think of the glaciers melting. And now we have become an agrarian society. We know how to farm now. So we don't need to go out and hunt all the time. We can actually stay put, chill out, and just eat what's on the land. Well, over time, what happens is that stomach acid goes away. So therefore, we're not able to digest properly the red meat. So those people who are blood type A's, need more to be a vegetarian. So eat off of the land. That means that your protein sources come from beans and legumes. Seafood, you can have that as well. One of the little characteristics of blood type A is that they naturally have a higher amount of cortisol. Cortisol is that stress hormone. So if we're already at baseline above and something happens, you're really high. So what we do to combat that is, instead of blood type A's doing cardiovascular exercise, they really need to do calming exercises like Tai Chi and yoga and meditation. I have patients who come in and they're blood type A and they're doing HIIT exercises and all that stuff and trying to lose weight and nothing's happening. And I'm like, let's just replace it. 1 week, please. 1 week. Just give me 1 week with calming exercises. And they're like, what? They're in the gym for 5-6 hours and then 1 week of calming exercises and they lose 2 pounds. It's just different. Their body is different, right? One of the other things that is well documented is blood type A is more susceptible to cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have somebody coming in and they're blood type A and they're not coming in as a patient that has cancer, and even if they don't have a family history of cancer, I am automatically treating them with anti-carcinogenic protocols and whatever that we do. The reason for this is they have like a Thomson-Friedrichsen like cell that is visible, that isn't normally visible in the other blood types. And so cancer's like, oh, that's my friend. So
Right,
it
right.
looks as it like it's familial, like, oh, that's cousin Joe, and I can do whatever I want to. So we have to just be a little bit more protective with blood type A. Blood type B, as we're moving along the evolution line, my blood type B's like to say we're the B for the best blood type. So yes, evolution gets it a little bit different as we go along the line. So blood type B can have red meat. They are great with the vegetables and things like that. They actually are the only ones that really can do dairy for the most part. So we can have some cheeses and butters, like ghee is awesome for everybody. But blood type B, they cannot have chicken, they cannot have corn, they cannot have soy, and they cannot have peanuts. And this is the blood type where I see the most drastic examples. So I can have somebody, I did Clubhouse for years, and I would have a show on every single week. And somebody would come on and say, I have headaches for years and I've been on Imitrex and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably a blood type B and you're addicted to chicken. So blood type Bs, like, it's like crack. It's like kryptonite. I don't know what it is, but chicken usually is number one. But I have some that it really is peanuts or corn or something like that. But they're addicted to the avoid food, that poisonous food. They're highly addictive to it. Once I have them remove just that, most of the stuff goes away.
Wow.
And it's amazing to see. And they're like, wow. You would think that chicken is fine. Chicken is a good source of protein. It's lean meat. It's awesome. I mean, what's wrong with corn? Nothing, but it's wrong for that specific blood type. It does not work as a lock and a key for that specific blood type, right? So we consider the B the nomad because they're able to hunt, they're able to stay put, they're nomadic, right? So for their exercise type, they need to do like both O and A. So they need mentally stimulating, so vigorous, as well as kind of calming. So I think of tennis, that kind of stuff. And then AB is the baby. They are the enigma, very different. They're a mixture of intermingling of the A and the B. So they have a little bit of A and a little bit of B. They can't have the chicken, but I think they can have the peanuts, like certain things that they, of the A and the B that they can have. But very interesting to watch when someone actually follows their blood type, how they can get off of medications, how their arthritis automatically goes away, their blood sugar regulates automatically. It's just really amazing to see that foundationally, food is our medicine and increases your vital force, which is your body's inherent ability to heal itself.
Mm-hmm. I've even seen hypertension, the blood
Mhm.
pressure regulate a mood and emotions can
Yes.
so lots of good things. So if I remember from the book, he puts lists of food in there, so it's very user friendly, right?
Hmm.
But isn't there a little bit more to the story, right? That you discovered when you worked with him, like
Yeah. So
yeah.
there's the book, and then there's also the app. The app is $3.99. So totally worth it if you want to go get the app and have it on your phone. You're at the grocery store, you are at a restaurant, you can follow it. The other part that we discovered is secretor status, which is another genetic marker that we look for, Lewis A and Lewis B. So a secretor is someone who secretes their blood type in any kind of liquid form. Their sweat, their vaginal, their semen, their saliva, whatever's liquid, you'll be able to tell what their blood type is. We think of a secretor as having, if you think of having a wall around your immune system, you got sharpshooters on the wall. A secretor basically says, oh, you're a bacteria, a virus, a pathogen. Nope, can't come in. That's their immune system. A non-secretor is only 15% of the population, pretty rare.
Wow.
And a non-secretor does not show their blood type in anything. So Peter used to say they make the perfect criminal. So they would not leave any fingerprint behind, right? A non-secretor I like to explain as having an open door policy. So they allow the bacteria and the pathogens to come inside, but then their sharpshooters are right on the inside, like bam, 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 I gotcha, right? A non-secretor gets sick fairly often, but they bounce back very quickly.
Mm.
A secretor doesn't get sick very often, but when they do, they're down for the count because they've breached the wall, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's the way I explain secretor versus non-secretor. The difference in the diet is strongly emphasized in a blood type A.
Oh.
So a blood type A secretor is your normal blood type A vegetarian X, Y, and Z. A blood type A non-secretor, what I see is they slide more towards the scale of an O.
Ah,
Like
okay.
they can have goat, or they can have some of the meat sources that you would think that they can't have, and they actually
Venison.
need it.
Right. They can have
Yeah,
venison. Yeah.
absolutely.
And this is a test that can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to the Red Cross and you can get your blood, you can donate blood, be good, and also find out your blood type. Very rare. I've not seen any doctors actually order blood typing. Not
Why?
I have no idea. And I've had patients like say, oh, well, I asked my doctor, so I order it all the time. It's a simple ABO-RH test that you can get in your normal labs that you get from your doctor. And I don't know why they would not want, it's covered. It's covered.
Yeah.
So, and it gives you a wealth of information, a wealth of information.
Mm-hmm. When did the book's old now? Yeah. How,
Yeah.
oh, 30 years?
I think it's longer than that.
Older than that.
It was out when we were there, and we were there in 2000. I want to think he wrote it in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sold millions of copies.
Millions. It's
And
a New
helped,
York Times bestseller.
yep, it's helped millions of people really make a change, I think, in their life and their health.
Yeah.
And
And it's something you can do for yourself very easily. You got to eat. So
yeah,
give it a try.
yeah. Now, it's not the miracle cure all if other
No,
things are going on. So this is important to know that yes, right? I mean, this is at least what I tell people. It's a big, huge first step to giving your body what it needs and getting out what you don't want in your body.
correct.
But if you've been chronically ill for a long time, if there's other things going on, I mean, maybe it's genetic, maybe it's environmental. Like you never know what the combination of factors is for people. And which is why, a vitalistic doctor has such an individualized approach to treatment of every
Mhm.
person. So oftentimes, at least I found, that's just one part of what we do.
Correct.
Does it also affect what supplements someone needs and things like that?
It does. Like blood type A, for example, They thrive on quercetin.
Mhm.
Blood type O thrives on fenugreek. Blood type B thrives on nitric oxide. So there are certain supplements that are better for certain blood types, like N-acetylcysteine for some, no MSM for another. But it's all in the app. It's all in the actual book.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he does a really good job of laying that out.
I remember when I found out you were doing your residency with him, I was so jealous because I loved him so much, right? I mean, I could tell that he really cares
Yeah,
about
he does.
the work that he does and what he produces. And he had to stand in front of the firing squad because people would just say,
Yeah.
whatever, like what you mentioned, double blind, placebo controlled.
Hmm.
Like how can you ignore all of the empirical data that comes
Correct.
in and has come in for all of these years, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My thing is, well, then fine, try it yourself. If it doesn't work for you, okay.
Yep,
But if
yep.
it does, look at what you found.
So you do this with every patient.
Every patient. So when I was in residency, he started writing his next book, which is the genotype diet, which breaks down the blood type diets a little bit more. And in the process, that was when the Harry Potter movies were coming out. And Harry Potter had this thing that like a book was writing itself. And so we were in clinic, and what he'd do is he'd have these sheets and he'd cross this out for this person, and just because he knows, right? So
Right.
even though it was blood type A, he's like, yeah, but you have this, so we're not going to do that, or we're going to add this in and this, that, and the other. So Peter's a genius. When I say genius, I mean like that IQ level where it's at a next level. He codes in his spare time, that kind of stuff. Um, so he started writing the genotype diet, but in the process, he also started writing SWAMI, which I should know what this means, but I don't. It stands for something. It's an acronym,
Oh,
like,
okay.
but it's artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow.
So it's AI. So he and I have a program, and there's some other practitioners now that have the program as well. It's called SWAMI. And basically, what we do is we take the genetic markers that we put in. So, like, I can do MTHFR and COMT and that kind of stuff. I can put that in for the patient, as well as blood type, as well as all of their labs, like their cholesterol. CRP, all of the stuff. I can put that in there, as well as measurements. So measurements are really important. They're anthro anthropogenic. I don't know how you pronounce this,
Yeah.
but basically like jaw,
Oh, yeah.
head circumference, and things like that. So this tells us about your ancestry, and like the length of your lower leg and your waist circumference and your hip and things like that. And then taster tests like the Thio test. So we look at all of those measurements and we put them into the computer system, and it spits out you are a warrior, explorer, teacher. There's 6 different genotypes that basically you fit into. And not only can I do that, I can say, this patient, I want you to find all of the things that would be anti-carcinogenic that I want them to eat. And I want you to highlight that. And I want you to highlight all of the foods that are really, really causing this person havoc with cancer, and they're highlighted in blue. So it's basically writing a book on the fly. And this is before AI was known.
That is so cool.
It is so amazing. So it's a customized genetic based diet for patients, is what we do.
That is really cool. And your patients like this. I'm sure I know mine often throw a fit when I even start remotely talking about changing the way they've eaten their whole life.
Hmm.
And how, right, they can have
Baby steps.
breakdowns in my office about, like, what am I going to do if I can't have fried chicken on Sunday, like,
Right.
right, or lasagna,
Yeah.
or right, I mean, or my big steak and potato that
Hmm.
I love having, a
Hmm.
couple times a month, because it's hard. Diet change
Absolutely.
is hard.
Absolutely. We get
Yeah.
accustomed to things. Do you remember that lecture we had, Eat the Cookie?
And we made a cookbook out of it. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yes, the recipe book. Yes,
So
we
I
did.
oftentimes refer to that with patients, and I'm like, how about we do 3 months and let's look at your labs, and then we'll just eat that cookie. After that,
Yes.
we'll celebrate with eat that
Eat
cookie.
that cookie.
Once we get some results and then you see that this works, and then you can maybe have it once a month or once a quarter or something, like, depending upon what I'm dealing with. If it's chronic, I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
No.
Right.
But then once we start getting things together and the patient can see the difference, I'm
Yes.
like, you go ahead and try it if you want to, and then you're gonna see why I asked you to stop,
Right.
because your body's gonna tell you, no, I really shouldn't have that.
That was such, about a year, this is about a year into medical school, and we had been inundated with all the environmental toxicities and how all the nasty toxic ingredients that come in food. And well, we were learning about all the diseases of the body and pathology, and we were looking inside cadavers and anatomy. And so a lot of us were just incredibly, I don't want to say anal, but we were type A about what we could eat and what we couldn't eat and forget it. And then we had this, what was his name? Ehrlich? Was it
I
Dr.
have no idea, but I know I was driving my family crazy.
Sitting in class one day, and we must have all been like super tightly strung looking at him. And you have to be a personality type to become a doctor to begin with, right? And he just looked at all of us and he said, he stopped mid lecture. He's like, sometimes you just have to eat the cookie. And we all just were like, what? What are you talking about? This is where this idea came from, is if you're too rigid, you create illness as well.
Correct.
Right? If you're so rigid that you create stress for yourself, that you might have accidentally taken a bite of something that is not good for you. Well, I have found over 20 years of practice now that the body does have this entire emunctory system, right? It does
Correct.
detoxify itself. We're talking about day in and day out, putting things in your body that force your body into having to react to that, clean it out, recover from damage that you're doing, right? The one bite of chocolate, or the occasional once a year chicken dinner for blood type B at grandma's house, like,
Correct.
your body can recover from that if the majority of the time you are giving your body food as medicine, you are taking what you need to take, you're doing what you need to do, you're thinking the way that right, that's good for you,
All
positive
right.
outlook on life. And so yeah, all right. So if people are interested in this, what do you recommend they start by doing?
Get the app.
Okay.
I
The
think
book.
the app is just easier, or the book, if you're a book person, right? The book probably has a little bit more information because it has the supplements and whatnot, and the app is more like, okay, you're trying to go to the grocery store, you're out to eat. Start slow. The next time you go grocery shopping, don't get any of the stuff that's on your avoid list. So eventually, over time, you won't have anything on the avoid list, right? Neutrals every once in a while are perfectly fine, but eventually your cabinets will only have the beneficials, and you're constantly putting in things that are good for you, medicine for your body. That's how I would start. Just
Mhm.
start slow.
Mhm. I would also add to that to find a practitioner who's familiar with this
Absolutely.
approach. And
Yep.
did he ever end up, he had talked a long time ago about creating a database of people who were kind of like, I don't know, technically
So when I
certified.
was in residency, he started he had the Generative Medicine Institute. And
Yes.
then he started teaching at Bridgeport before Bridgeport closed down.
Yeah.
Um, I think he still has a clinic because he stopped for a while, but I think he does now. And Emily actually practices, his
Oh,
daughter.
oh, that's cool.
I don't know if he has a database. That's
Okay.
interesting.
So if you're curious, we're gonna have, so how would someone do this? Like, how would they find someone to work with? Like, say you're full and you can't take anybody, like, or if they wanted to
Um,
find someone local, maybe we need to talk to,
yeah, maybe we do.
say,
Maybe you can call. So North American Pharmacal is his supplement company, so they probably would know. I would call Or no, did he change the name? I think he changed the name. It's
Okay, well, we'll
Domo.
put that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll put that in the
Yeah, we'll
comments
figure it
when we
out.
post this. Okay. That way, if you want to have someone to coach you and guide you, I know some folks, their level of health is, I rate this like a 1 to 10. You have mild things going on, and something like converting over to eat right for your blood type might take care of anything that bothers you.
Absolutely.
But then, as we move up through the scale of how long have you been doing things, how damaged is your body, what's your genetics, what's your environment, what's
Hmm.
your outlook on life, you get to a point where just something like the blood type diet isn't going to be enough to put you
Correct.
to your optimal state of health, which is different
Correct.
for everybody.
Right. Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I am so excited we got to talk about this. Folks, there'll be links in all the posts of where you can find Dr. Samm if you're interested in working with her. We'll put the name of the book, all of that stuff, and we'll find out the name of his supplement company where
Yeah.
they'll be selling these supplements to practitioners. And so they'll be able to tell you if there's somebody near you. Um,
Yep.
yeah. Any
Yeah.
last words you want to leave people with along the lines of this way of eating for
No, just try it for a week. You got to at least try it for a week. It can't be one day, right? Try it for a week and just see how you feel. And then oftentimes I will say, I mean, it's really 2 weeks. But even if you do it for a week and then you go and put back in or try that avoid food that you're constantly eating, you should feel the effects of why this is a sensitivity for you.
You're generous. I ask my patients to give me 30 days before
Yeah,
they make
that's what
it.
I really want, but
That's it's
that's what I
hard. It's
want.
hard. It is.
Yeah, it's hard.
Awesome. Okay, well, I stay tuned for our next conversation between Dr. Sam and I, and it's going to be about an approach to cancer, an integrative approach to cancer, which she's just made such an incredible name for herself in the world for this. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And y'all, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. For those of you who have written in, emailed, and are interested in my books and other offerings, I wrote The Unvaccinated Child as a resource guide for parents and caregivers to navigate childhood illnesses in a natural and healthy way. And while the intended group was the unvaccinated, it turns out it's an important resource for the vaccinated kids as well, since vaccines do not necessarily prevent illness. Smoke Rings is another book I wrote, and that's to help smokers support their health, regardless if they plan to quit or not. So, for people who smoke, love a smoker, used to smoke, continue to smoke, this book helps you be your healthiest version. And when I say it is judgment free, it is absolutely judgment free. You're free to make the choices you make. I'd just like you to find better health while you make those choices. My most recent book, Homeopathy, A Foundational Approach, is really great for someone, whether they're a complete beginner or they've already been practicing homeopathy. It starts at the beginning and it guides the readers through the basics and on into first aid and acute practice so you can start using homeopathy right away. That's the most important thing to me, is to get folks using homeopathy in their everyday life. My workshops and courses can be found at either ecampnd.com or longshadowsranch.net. Have a great week. Again, thanks for joining me and thanks for your support.